Before you go to use a facing cutter, or any cutter for that matter, you need to inspect it for any sort of damage or chips to the inserts or the cutting edges. And so on the facing cutter right here, we have three indexable inserts, meaning they can rotate and use multiple sides of this insert. And there's three of those in this facing mill. So sometimes you'll have some that are chipped, one, two, or all three, and you either need to index it or you need to change the entire insert completely. And so if you take a look right here on this insert, you can actually see that there's a big chip out of this one, and then if I rotate around, there's also a big chip out of this corner as well. However, if I rotate to the third one, it looks like that one's still in pretty good shape, so I'll leave that one alone. Now when I take a look back at one that's chipped, I can kind of see that there's another corner in here and a corner up here that don't look bad, so I don't think I'm going to have to replace the entire insert, but I'll have to rotate it to a good cutting edge, because the cutting edge for these inserts is right here at the corner. And so I'm going to go ahead and remove one of the inserts. In order to do that, all I need is a 9/32 Allen wrench, and it's going to go right through the back of the facing cutter where the insert is. You'll notice the clamp on the front, it has a screw coming through it, and then on the back there's an actual screw head right there. So all I have to do is put the Allen wrench in, and notice it's not at a perfect straight angle. A lot of people will try to put it in straight back like this and they can't figure out why it won't go in there. So you want to make sure you match the angle of the screw. It's kind of at a downward angle, and then just crack it loose. You don't have to take the entire thing out normally, and then the insert should just come out. And then if I take a look at this insert right here, all I really have is one broken corner. This corner right over here looks actually brand new. This corner looks like it might have been used once, but it doesn't look bad. I'm going to go ahead and rotate to the brand new looking corner for now. What I need you to notice though is that the insert is not straight across. So when I look at it from the front, it's a triangle. When I look at it from the back, it's a triangle. But notice the back triangle is smaller than the front triangle. And if we look from the side, you'll notice it slopes down at an angle this way, and that matters when we go to insert it back into the actual milling cutter. So before I do that, what you really want to make sure of before we proceed is that there's no chips or anything inside the rest for the insert. If you see any metal down in there, you have to get it out. It's also not a bad idea to just kind of shove a paper towel in there and wipe out as much as you can. If you see anything really bad or big, you may have to take this clamp off, although it's not usually necessary. Sometimes I'll just blow it out with compressed air or just with myself like that. And so now I can see that it's a triangle shape in there as well. I need the insert to rest all the way against both of those sides, and I'll show you that in just a second. So when I go to put this insert in, remember, it's not straight across along the back. And so if I were to draw this on a piece of paper to kind of illustrate a little bit bigger, that's the cutting edge of the insert, and it actually comes down and up at an angle like this. And the cutter rotation has to be going so that this corner of the insert is hitting the material first and not the back corner. If you have it in backwards and this back corner is hitting first, you're going to just chip the edge off, which may have been what had happened with this insert right here. And you'll notice it doesn't cut well either. And so I have my insert or my holder cleaned out. I have my insert cleaned off. I also want to clean that off, no chips on it, because that'll affect the accuracy. And then I want to go ahead and make sure that that one good edge that I pointed out is going to be the one that's going to be used to be cutting. So I go ahead and slide it into the cutter, and I push it in. And notice I can push it in, and I could have it in there, but I could have it in there so that it's not fully seated against the shell right here, or against the actual milling cutter. So I want to make sure that it's fully seated against both of the edges of the triangle, and that's how I know that all the tips will be in the same location when it's cutting, which is important. So really, when I tighten this up, I kind of push back against the cutting corner, and it forces it in both directions into the milling cutter. And then I just take my 9/32 Allen wrench, I snug it up. Doesn't have to be super tight, but make sure it's snugged up. And then I just double check. There's no gaps on the edges. And then I look right here and I see that the angle goes back. The cutter's going to be rotating around this way. Okay, and the angle goes back towards the back of the cutter, so I won't be hitting the back side of the cutter, I'll be hitting the cutting edge. So I'm going to go ahead and replace one more, and I'll show you what it looks like if you do put it in backwards, and you can kind of see another little gap. So I loosen it up, I take out that insert, I make sure it's all clean. Okay, I find a good edge on this insert, which again, I see I have one good one right there. If they were all bad, I would just replace the entire insert. But now let's say you accidentally put it in upside down. There's another check that you should always do. So I put it in there, upside down, or backwards I should say. And if I were to tighten that up, just notice the cutter rotates this way, and now you can see the angle is going back like this, and if I were to hit a piece of material, it would hit the back side of the cutting edge. So that's incorrect. So I want to make sure that it's good and flipped around. Okay, so that looks better right there. Again, the cutting edge goes back like that. So I make sure it's forced into both corners. And then I snug it up with the Allen wrench in the back. Don't over tighten. And then I just double check it, make sure there's no gaps there, make sure that I have the cutting insert in, and make sure now that all of my cutting edges on this milling cutter are good and serviceable, and I'm ready to use it to do some facing cuts.